Greetings designers. For today's project we're going to be creating an image out of text, so it's going to be a typographical image, and what I pulled off is we're going to use one of your favorite fruits. So what I found was an apple, and to get started what I'm going to do is create a new project with my name. And this is 6.6, I believe. Typographical Fruit. And then we're going to change this to inches. It's going to be 8 inches by 8 inches. 200 pixels per inch is fine. RGB color is fine at 8-bit. So we're going to say OK. It's going to give us this nice big sheet here. And like I said, I found an image of an apple. You guys can use whatever fruit or vegetable you find, but I will tell you about that in a second. So I'm going to go down here to place, and there's my apple. And there it is. So the important things when you're getting an image is you want something that's at least 600 by 600 pixels, and it'll tell you that when you're looking at the images in Google. And you want it about this big, so it's going to have to be pretty close to filling the entire sheet that you're working on. So this is a good section here. If it's too small or too big, you can obviously change it a little bit by here, adjusting the anchor points there. Too far. There we go. So once it's there, I'm going to go ahead and place it. And as you see, it made it on a new layer. So then the next part I'm going to do is go to my text tool, and I'm going to click anywhere on the page, and I'm going to type in a word that describes this apple. So I'm going to say it's round. There we go. Now my text is a little too big for that, so I'm going to go to my transform tool, and I've got my transform control selected, and I'm just going to just drag that down to somewhere on my image. You can change the shape here as well. So I'm just going to get it in place somewhere close to the edge here. And then the other thing is, since I have it in place, yes, I'm now going to change the way the text looks, because round should look more rounded than that. Oh, something like that would be perfect. So just kind of go through until you find one that you think describes round. Kind of like that one we found, which was a, go here. There we go, a sans serif, really round shape to it. So I like that one. The other thing I want to do is change my transform here, warp text tool at the top, and I'm going to change it so that it looks more round. So I'm going to use this bulge here and made it pretty round. And you can increase how round that looks by using this here. The other reason I like this text is because it fills up that shape. So if you look through here, it follows this curve of the apple, so I can kind of fill that section out and make it follow that shape. I'm going to make it a little more round. That looks pretty good. And then the next part is I'm going to select a color. So in order to do that, I selected the color at the top, and rather than just picking a color, I'm going to use my eyedropper tool to draw out some of this color here. And it should blend into the background. Obviously it doesn't completely. If you're not satisfied, just pick a different spot and see if that makes it a little better. Oh, too red. Yeah, that's pretty close. That should do. You basically want the color to blend in with the apple, the shape there. And then I'm going to adjust this a little bit more just to kind of get it, not that way, just to get it into the correct position. So there we go. We've got, I can see here that it follows the shape around. I've got that nice round shape to it. And if I click the eye, I've got to confirm it first, so say yes. If I click the eye, I see that it's got that nice round look to it, and I can continue down at the bottom here. So then the next part is, let me just put in another one, and I'll say the apples are sweet. And then again, if you want to at this point, knowing what sweet should look like, you can change your text based on that too. So if you don't find one, if you don't find a, that looks good. If you don't find one that you like, you can also go online and find a font that you like and download it, and then that way you can find something that perfectly matches your word. So then once I've got the word, I'm going to go ahead and confirm that I like that font, select the transform tool, and then adjust it into the spot I want, which is right over here. So I'm going to try and follow this shape on the side. Now if you'll look, my text doesn't match up across the top here. So I've got the X height that we talked about is going to be here, and then this is the capital height. So if you want to, what you can do is try to fill it out so that it's more even. So I'm going to select my text tool. Yes. And then I'm going to use all capitals instead. And of course that changed the size, so I'll have to adjust that. Holding down my shift key to keep the shape. No. There we go. So now I have it to where this is kind of matching up on the edge here. And if I want to get it to fit in the right spot, now that I've got it where I want it, I can select my text tool again. Yes. And put a warp on it to see if I can get it to finish out this section here, because where the round and the sweet hit, there's a little bit of a gap, so I want to try and fix that. I may not be able to, but there should be an option in here to do that. For instance, the rise should work. See, no, that one didn't work, so what I can do instead is try the arc one. And now it fits up here, but it doesn't fit on the bottom. So this is where you're going to have to play around a lot and see what different options you can get for it to fit in there. So if I've got that there and I confirm it, it goes past the edge of my apple. So I'm going to have to shrink it down a little. But I like the way that that lines up here. So I'm also going to try to make it so it doesn't touch. Again, holding down my shift key. No. to rotate it out a little bit. And if it doesn't match up perfectly like here, you can readjust the warp tool so that it finishes it out. But I'm going to go ahead and this. I'm going to change the color of this too to make it so it's a little harder to see on here. And then if I take that off, you can see where it's starting to create that shape all the way around of the apple. So then if you need extra words, you can go online to find out descriptive words. Just look for description of, and then your fruit, or describe the fruit, whichever fruit. So if I looked up description of apple, I would get a lot of different words I can use to throw in here. Try to use as many words as you can, different words, and then also you want to try and make it so that they don't overlap, so it's easy to still read the words, but that they are interesting and that you have different fonts for them. I would go all the way around my image first and then probably come back through and finish up the different shapes inside here, and they can be generic, not generic shapes, but you kind of want to fill these areas with that. Also the stem, I would want to fill this in with stem and maybe use words like woody or grainy or something like that. You can also fill in the leaf. You can use color options, say green. In here you could say veiny for the veins on the leaf. You could also use scientific words like photosynthesis. So anything like that would work. And then once you're done, what you're going to do is turn off your layer. So I'm not going to be able to see that, but I still want you to keep it in there so that I can see what image you were working from. And then once it's completed, you'll submit it to the drive. And hopefully everybody chooses something besides apple. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of apples. All right, let's see how you guys do on the project.